FM.
Can't seem to click on it now. There we go. So, first of all, before we get started, we know each other quite well from the TAP program we were both on last year. So thank you for joining, actually. Thank you for coming.
Peter, I'm lovely to be here. I'm delighted that you invited me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So, as I do with all of these interviews I've done for the last few weeks, could you introduce yourself? You know, what you do, what's your sport, all that.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Cameron Brodie, and I was for a long time in my life a swimmer. So I reached a decent level within that, and now I work for the Sport Scotland Institute of Sport, providing performance lifestyle support to kind of next generation of athletes coming through. So yeah, I've gone from gamekeeper turned poacher, or poacher turned gamekeeper rather. Yeah, long history in sport.
So, did you do any other sports in your previous life before swimming?
Yeah, so my parents were really keen to just kind of get me involved in as many sports as possible. So they were really open to that. So I played football terribly. I played cricket terribly as well. Rowing was one that I was actually relatively good at. I think my height kind of helped with that. So I think at the point where I decided to focus on swimming, I was actually probably a little bit better at rowing, which is, I kind of look back on that and I'm like, is that a sliding doors moment? You know, could I have achieved more in rowing? Who knows? But it was both sports require a ridiculous amount of dedication, and the idea of being up at 6 a.m, I'd rather be in a kind of warm swimming pool than I would be on a frozen lake or freezing cold river. Swimming was slightly more comfortable for me.
I was going to say swimming, but you know, as you said, you're awful at everything else. So, you know, so what was a bit about swimming that made you want to continue into a more higher level?
So I think because I was reasonably good at it, that kind of was a real carrot for me to kind of dedicate a little bit more of my time to it. So I was a butterfly swimmer, and butterfly is the kind of hardest stroke that there is within swimming. But the only reason I got into butterfly was because I kind of quite quickly worked out that if you chose to do butterfly, you were quite quickly included in relays because nobody else wanted to do butterfly, and you know, it'd be easier to make finals because the number of entries for butterfly races are typically quite a bit lower than front crawl or breaststroke or backstroke. So you'd only have to beat a couple of people as opposed to having to beat hundreds of people to make the finals. So that's why I got into butterfly, and then suddenly I found myself, I'm actually okay at this. And yeah, just one thing turns to another, and before I know it, my whole calendar was dedicated around swimming competitions and training camps and all these things.
So you were 100% Scottish, aren't you? Well, as you can tell from the accent.
100% Scottish. I've actually spent a good chunk of my time down in England. I went to boarding school down in Devon, which was like kind of there to, it was a school that specialised in swimming. I got really well supported there through a scholarship and all the other kind of aspects down there. When I was there, it was an amazing time down there at Mount Kelly School, where where my room was, I had the dining hall 50 yards to my right, I had the swimming pool 50 yards to the left, and then all my classes 50 yards in front of me. So there's no excuses for not kind of succeeding in the pool and in the classroom as well.
It was quite funny because when I Googled you yesterday to do some research, and Devon came up, I was like, Devon is in England, what are you doing there? You know, I just thought you spent all of your time in Scotland. So so you did the 200-meter butterfly, you did freestyle, and then you did relay as well, as you mentioned. So you did quite a few events. So I'm assuming those are the 3 events that you did, or was it just individual competitions? You just did butterfly, and then some other events you did. You know, what was the situation there?
Yeah, so butterfly was definitely my kind of main focus, 200 meters butterfly specifically, so the longest distance of the hardest stroke. So I specialized in that, but that's so difficult. You can't really spend all your time in training focusing on butterfly. So I obviously spend a little bit of time doing front crawl, which is the kind of most common stroke, I guess, within swimming. And then I also did a little bit of individual medley, which is kind of all the strokes combined. So at various times I'd focus on various events, and particularly getting towards the Commonwealth Games, I'd be really keen to get myself included in as many relay events as possible. So that's when I'd focus maybe a little bit more on front crawl, just in the hope that I might get on a relay. But yeah, it's one of these things. I was swimming probably 20 plus hours a week in the pool. There was no way that I was swimming 20 hours a week just doing butterfly. I needed to change it up just for my own sanity, I think.
So how did you get spotted? Presumably you started swimming at a young age. How did you get sort of spotted into the high level of Commonwealth Games and all that?
Yeah, so it's funny, England, so this is when I was down at Mount Kelly School. England actually approached me first and said, right, we've seen your times, we've seen you kind of at some events, we'd like you to be included in our National Development Pathway program. And I said no. It did not feel right for me to be part of an English swimming kind of pathway. I didn't really want to swim for England. I never wanted to swim for England. So I think I had to wait another year before Scotland said, oh, right, actually, we didn't realise that you were Scottish swimming down there. Would you like to come up to our camps? So, yeah, that probably happened. I think I won my first kind of national age group championships when I was maybe about 14, 15. And that was the point at which Scotland said, oh, right, OK, you're Scottish and you look to be doing pretty well. So why don't you come up and spend a bit of time up here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a strange thing that England does too, because obviously you're not English at all. So, yeah, it's an odd thing to happen.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I remember at that time not being a big issue. It was just immediately, no, I'm not English. I'm not going to swim for England. But I guess they thought, right, well, he's doing good times and he's at an English school, so he must be English. But yeah, I quickly put them right.
I couldn't tell by your accent that you weren't English at all then.
Yeah, they should have probably worked that out.
Yeah. So you got picked up and then you went on to do Delhi in 2010 and then you did Glasgow 2014. This was in the Commonwealth Games and you got silver for both. And obviously that's still on your Twitter. That's still your best achievements to date, I'm assuming. Yeah,
that was lots of fun. So they were both part of kind of relay teams, part of the larger squad within relay teams. And the Delhi Games in 2010 were just phenomenal. I was 17, I think, when I was kind of there, qualified. So really young, suddenly swimming next to my heroes, people that I kind of really looked up to, which was kind of wild. And then in Glasgow, suddenly I was kind of a bit more mature, kind of early 20s, 20, 21 there, and just having a whale of a time and swimming the best I've ever swam. And both fantastic opportunities and great to kind of come away with medals. And it's nice that I've got that physical item that kind of encapsulates all the dedication that I put into my swimming.
Well, Glasgow must have been a big, in front of your home crowd. It must have been quite an amazing achievement.
It's the only time for the 2 weeks of the Glasgow Games, and maybe like a week afterwards, where I felt like a Z-list celebrity. It was the odd thing because for that time you're walking about in your tracksuit everywhere you go, and people would stop you in the streets and ask for a picture. Or we'd be out for dinner and somebody would say, oh my God, can we get a picture? And a couple of times they said, oh, we've paid for your dinner, just to let you know, we've paid for your dinner. And it was, oh my God, that's amazing. Just some fantastic opportunities came off the back of that. And just a brilliant time. And home games was excellent. It was very fortunate that a lot of family could come up and which is awesome because it's such a special time for me. I'm glad I was able to share it with my family.
Yeah, and yeah, so that was really, really good. And then, well, you're still a celebrity, I would say, with the blue tick that you still managed to keep on Twitter. We've had this conversation before about, when Elon Musk is going to take it away from you and you've got to buy it or whatever. So you're still a celebrity in some respect.
Still got the tick, but I'm not paying the £8 a month or whatever it is. Two types of that.
No. But no, you can still have it to your claim to fame, though, can't you? So, yeah. And then, when I was researching, I was quite disappointed for you. I mean, I remember last year you were quite disappointed for me when I failed one of my university modules. But I felt quite bad for you on this one because you did try and get into the Olympics a few times, but that never arisen. So I don't know why, but I mean, presumably it was the sort of like the times that you had to get into of being your personal best, or what was the situation there?
Yeah, so in an Olympic year, so every 4 years they hold Olympic trials, which are typically about 5 months kind of out from the games, ahead of the games, and they set kind of qualifying standards. And if you reach a standard, then you're in, and if you don't, you're not. So it's really interesting for the London Olympics. I was pretty young, 19, I think, probably 18, 19 then, and I wasn't necessarily expected to be in the hunt for it. But the policy there, because it was a home Olympics, they just said, right, if you finish in the top 2, you're in. So it's really clear. So I made the final, which puts me in the top 8, and then I think by the end of it, I was, about half a second out from finishing second, or around that. Not a million miles out. I can't remember exactly. So that was really close, but then I wasn't necessarily expecting to make that, if that makes sense. So it wasn't a massive disappointment. And then 2016 rolled around, so I'd come off the back of 2014 when I'd swum fantastically well. 2015, I think I'd done okay, and then the big kind of hope was making the Olympics. And it just never materialized. And I wonder if it was just too much pressure. But it's a big mistake. It's one of these things. I think when I stopped swimming, my big aim was to make the Olympics. And when I stopped, I thought, right, I've not made the Olympics. It's my whole career is a total failure, and I've not succeeded, and what a waste of time. And it's taken a little bit of time, but now I'm like, that's just the total wrong attitude. I've achieved so many things that I'm incredibly proud of, despite not making the Olympics.
And after 2014, you went to so all the way up to 2014. You were in school and college, weren't you? When did you go to university? Was that up in Scotland, obviously, when you went back home for university?
Yeah, so it would have been 2011, I went to University of Stirling.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
Went up there, which at the time had a really good swimming program. And again, it was just that kind of accommodation, the swimming, the university, it was all very close. And I knew that there was great training partners up there. And the program's probably one of the best in the world, I would say now, with some fantastic athletes. Many Olympic medals have been won from that pool, which is great to see.
And because the reason why I asked that is because you were the GB flag bearer on the Bucks team in 2017. I'm not sure that's right. I mean, you can't have spent that long at uni, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I went to the World University Games in 2015 in Gwangju in South Korea, which was great. And then the following games in 2017 were in Taipei. And somehow I was selected to be the flag bearer for the Team GB delegation, which I don't know how I was voted. I don't know why people voted for me. But it was amazing, like a really massive honor to be given that role. And yeah, just totally bizarre kind of walking out in a really full stadium in Taipei, carrying the GB flag. And it was a fabulous experience.
Yeah, because I thought you had to be at university to be picked. So I thought you joined uni later.
No, so I did 4 years for my undergraduate. So undergraduate degrees in Scotland are 4 years.
Got you.
So I graduated from my undergrad in 2015, it would have been. And then I did a 2-year master's after that, which took me to 2017.
And so what did they do your degree in?
So my undergraduate was in sports studies, and then my postgrad was in sports management.
And then that tears up quite nicely for your job that you now have as a performance lifestyle practitioner. Which is a bit of a mouthful to say, but presumably that wasn't the job after university. I'm assuming you didn't go straight into that role. Just do anything else before that job?
So when I stopped swimming, I really didn't know what I was going to do. So I graduated and stopped swimming in 2017 in kind of September there, and I had no idea what I was going to do next. So the people that you kind of speak to regarding what you're going to do afterwards is your performance lifestyle practitioner. So I spoke to mine and I thought, God, what am I going to do? And I said, right, I'm really keen to stay involved in sport. I've still got a massive passion for it. And he said, okay, cool. Do you want to go into coaching? And I was like, no, I've spent too many hours on poolside. Okay, well, do you want to become a physiologist or a nutritionist or a strength and conditioning coach? And I thought, well, I'm going to have to go back to university. I've just done 6 years of it. I don't want to have to do that. So we can score them all out. And then I said, right, what about your job? Could I become what do I need to do to become a performance lifestyle advisor or a practitioner? And he said, right, there's no degree for it, but you need lots of life experience. So it was like, right, cool, okay. Well, I need to go and get some life experience. So I had a couple of years where I worked for the University of Stirling delivering kind of swimming lessons, which was good fun. So I was kind of coordinating all the lessons that were taking place in the pool, which was good fun. And then an opportunity arose down in Manchester where I'd be doing a little bit of performance lifestyle stuff within my work. And yeah, I think that move down to Manchester was brilliant, kind of suddenly moving to a city that I'd never been to before, having to set up a whole kind of support network of friends and colleagues and just becoming familiar with the environment. It was a brilliant journey. I was only there for a short period, just over a year, but loved it. And then I came back up to Edinburgh now, where I am, and working for the Sport Scotland Institute of Sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that even if you can't get to Olympics yourself, it's nice to know that you're coaching people to get up to that sort of level. So it's the next best thing, isn't it?
Totally. It really is. And it was awesome supporting some fabulous athletes prepare for the 2020 Olympics, which obviously were in 2021. So James Heatley was a diver that I know. I knew as a swimmer because we'd be on the same kind of aquatics team supported by the Scottish Swimming. And suddenly to get to know him in a slightly different relationship, but support him towards him making his first Olympic Games and seeing him there and getting up at crazy o'clock in the morning to watch the diving was amazing. So that was really good. And then being invited by Team Scotland to be included in the games team for the Birmingham Commonwealth Games last summer as a kind of athlete mentor was brilliant for the younger ones coming through. So just being in and about Birmingham was awesome.
And going up from how did you hear about TAP, True Athlete Program? I'm not sure what it's called now, off the top of my head, but how did you find out about that?
Yeah, the True Athlete Project, I think it is.
Yeah. I'll kill us if you don't get it right, but
I actually can't remember how I found out about it. But why I got involved was just that I think athletes are great at this, just always wanting to learn and always wanting to develop their skills. So, I've got my performance lifestyle skills, which are based in and around kind of counselling and speech therapy, talk therapy, which is great. And I was looking for that. I kind of saw TAP as an opportunity for me to build on those skills and develop some new ones and just kind of get more perspectives about the work that I could be delivering to athletes and trying to improve that. So I saw it and just kind of fired in an application and had a fabulous year chatting with you quite regularly.
Yeah. So did you when did you first start doing it? The year that we did it, or?
Yeah. So I only did 1 year of it, and it was the year that we were together. So
Yeah. It was quite an interesting year, wasn't it?
it was a really interesting year. Really interesting year. I think it came at a good time for us both, probably, actually. I think you were going through some change and kind of graduation and into your masters, and yeah, it was just kind of great being alongside you with that journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you something now. I still haven't done any mindfulness since we stopped. So
Some things work, some things don't. That's fine.
yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely fine. So now you've fully retired from swimming, and you're now a practitioner and lifestyle practitioner. So for the future, for you, obviously, I hope you're not going to be in Scotland forever. So you have to get away from the sun at some point, or the cold, or whatever up there. So what's the life looking like for you personally, and for your profession?
Big question. Big question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I really enjoy my job that I do now. I'm able to kind of support a lot of athletes through that. Who knows? Who knows where the road will lead?
Yeah.
I think it's really tricky. I think sport within Scotland is really quite a small area, and there's maybe not that much opportunity for progression quickly anyway. So I'm quite comfortable. I've been doing this job now for 3 years, and I still feel like I'm learning every day, and still feel like I'm kind of perfecting and honing some skills. So whilst I'm doing that, I'm still enjoying things. So who knows what it'll hold? Yeah.
So with the degrees you've got, that is the job that you wanted with that degree.
Yeah, so I think I'd always wanted to become a performance director of a sport.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting. So my work at the moment focuses. I think I'm working in probably 6 different sports, which is brilliant because it gives me a real insight into all the different pathways of those 6 different sports, understanding the cultures within them, which are really interesting. It's great for me working in some. Working with para athletes, that's a real insight for me. Working with some winter sports, working with curling, that's really interesting for me as well. Team sports like cricket and hockey that I'm involved in, great. But then also for me, getting behind the scenes and working in kind of swimming and diving that I know a little bit about from athletes, as an athlete, right, cool. These are all the structures that are in place. This is why these structures are in place. And kind of getting a strategic perspective on those is really interesting. So I think the next step might be to become involved in one sport and kind of focus in that area and just kind of get a more kind of granular look into how that sport runs on a day-to-day basis.
And what do you think the future is for swimming in particular? Obviously it's an Olympic sport. Things are going up all the time for Scottish swimming and swimming in general. What are you hoping the future will be for the sport? What are your dreams for the sport?
Yeah, that's the kind of $1 million question. I would love for the status of swimming to kind of grow and evolve and become bigger. A few years ago, I think in 2019 or 2020, I can't remember exactly when, the ISL was created, International Swimming League. So that was heavily funded by a benefactor, essentially. I think it was a Ukrainian businessman who, pumped millions of pounds into this and the creation of these different franchises who'd swim all over the world in events, and suddenly swimmers were getting paid to swim, which is a kind of novel concept. That there's bones in there that would work, I believe, with the right buy-in. Something that the athletes have bought in because that's great exposure for them in a worldwide stage. I think swimming needs to evolve to become better than just a sport that's on TV every 4 years. yeah, we need to do a better job of publicising the sport and getting the stories that the athletes have got out to the public, because there's some fabulous stories there, and we've got some incredible athletes. Duncan Scott is one of the best GB athletes of all time. You know, point blank. You know, that's fact. He's won, you know, so many medals. He's won, I think he won 5 or 6 medals at Commonwealth Games. You know, it's never been done by a Scottish athlete before. It's brilliant. We know, I think Team GB at the Olympics in Tokyo was the most successful games that we've ever had. Right, great. Let's kind of tell that story and let's get that out to the public, and let's get these swimmers supported financially, because that will keep them in the sport for longer. And I think that's really important.
And I'm assuming with your job within the Scottish swimming team and everything, you'll be going out to Paris and supporting the athletes, and then Los Angeles. That's the sort of thing.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
Fingers crossed. I hope so.
You've heard here first.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, that's everything. So I'll stop recording and then we'll wrap up. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Stop recording.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.